Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're tying a freestyle black and orange potbelly pig. Stuart Foxell's got a really good video on this, I'll share that in the link as well. Was planning to do a lightning bolt style version, but it started to look a lit firework under the light, so we switched it up. Anyway, let's get stuck right into it and see what this is all about. So, in the tube adapter folks, we've got a 3/4 inch plastic Sean Stanton orange tube with a black inner tube, and I've cut some light angles into the front of this just so it connects better together, and got some white uni 8O just to kick things off. Put a little bit of super glue at the connection point, just helps establish a bit of strength between the two tubes. Running this down to about 2/3 of the way down, and then coming in with a large Opal Mirage tinsel, and this will form about 1/3 of the body. Touch of super glue at this point folks, and then just going to wind over that. Once you're happy with your Mirage tinsel third, you can lock that off, and then we're going to come in with a large, it's a Chinese black cock hackle. Going to use quite a lot of this, catching it in by the tip end, and then going to fold it back, snip this away. Want to get a good fibre count down, prop the whole back end of this tail fly up, and see where we go from there. As I said folks, want a good fibre count here, so that was a good 4 turns with this large feather. Just locking this off at this point, and then going to chop away that remaining piece that we don't need. Be careful with your thread as always, and then you can tidy up and fold back the rest of the fibres that might be coming forward. From there, going to come in with some orange crystal flash. Just 2 strands, don't need to go over the top at this point, just catching them on the top, and then leaving a little bit on the rest of the body, then you can snip away. From there folks, you can get yourself a nice little pinch of a bright orange bucktail. You want this flowing over the back of the fly, certainly longer than the back end of the tube. Just catching this on the top with some nice good firm wraps. Lock this in place, and then you can come forward a little bit, building up the body, and when you're happy with what you've got, you can chop away your excess and tidy up any residual bits, just keeping everything nice and tidy. Okay folks, now it's time to start adding in the Piggy elements. So we've got some bright orange feelers here from Sean Stanton. Just catching these on the side, just one each side at this stage, doesn't need to be over the top. Once you've got these caught on, you've got them fastened in, you can look to chop away those excess pieces towards the front of the fly. Once you're happy with that folks, you can bring your thread back up against the bucktail, coming back in with the orange crystal flash, just adding a little bit more flash into the fly at this stage. Bringing it up against the bucktail nice and tight, and then just catching this in and coming forward with your thread. Once you've chopped away your excess, you can then catch on a gold wire. I'm using a medium sized wire at this stage, running it all the way back down against the bucktail. You could use a small. The purpose of this wire is not so much to create a rib, but to keep the dubbing in place that we're adding now. So this is a black peacock glistery type dubbing. Just use whatever you've got really, but certainly the glister adds a little bit more flash into it. Keep the dubbing nice and tight. Make sure you twist as you come forward, nice and aligned against the body. And then we get to the front, you can tidy this up. You really want to stop where the two tubes connect is what I would recommend. Tidy it up and then you can bring your gold wire rib over. 3-4 turns, you don't need to be too fussy with this if I'm honest, and look to lock this in. You might not get the bend and breakaway on this, just depending on how it's working with your tube adapter and the plastic tube. You might need to take the scissors to it, which I ended up doing. And at this point folks, going to come in with an orange. It's basically a holographic mirror type flash. Just use whatever you've got, something orange or even a bit of red, just a different style of flash. You want these relatively long, certainly flowing up into the bucktail, a couple of strands on top, and then what you can look to do is fold these back, sweep them back down either side and catch them in. If by any chance they're a bit long, which mine are here, you can snip these to a length that you're comfortable with. Okay, certainly getting there folks. At this point we're going to catch on a large grey cock hackle tip first. I'm going to use most of this fibre, so pick a fella that you're happy with. We'll give you a bit of length and again a reasonably good fibre count. Cut away your tip end, make sure you don't cut anything else away. Do your best to fold the fibre, you want it all flowing in the right direction, keep it nice and tidy. Run the scissors up each side usually helps do this. And then we're happy to do so, you can start to wind cock hackle round the front of the fly. And when you've got what you want, and you'll know yourself, you'll just see it on the fly, you'll be happy with the number of turns that you've got, you can lock this in and look to chop away your excess. Tidy up anything that needs to be tidied up, any rogue fibres, pushing everything back, and you'll be good to go with the next material. Okay folks, and from the last thing we're going to come in with is some good sized jungle cock eyes. You want these certainly flowing towards the back of the body, certainly up into the orange bucktail a little bit. You want these pointing up a little bit as well, certainly in keeping with the shape and style of the fly. Just catching these on both sides, making sure they're even, and then you can tie down quite firmly on these, keeping them in place. And then for some extra security, would certainly recommend folding these stems back and tying those in. Once done so, you can tidy up and cut away your excess. And from this point folks, it's very much a finishing job, so get some whip finish turns in at the front of the fly. 3 or 4 should do it. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be, so don't follow what I'm doing here. And chop away your thread. Thereafter what you're going to look to do is get your finishing cone or whatever it is you're going to use, turbo disc, whatever, and get it on the inner tube. Get some super glue all around those thread turns, front of the fly, and a little bit onto the inner tube also. Once you're happy you've sufficiently glued everything down, what you're going to look to do is take your cone head and push it nice and firmly up against all of the other materials, pushing them back and getting you that nice finish. Hold it in place for a second or two, hopefully not too long, otherwise you might end up gluing yourself to the fly, which is ill-advised. So once you've finished that folks, remove the fly from the fly adapter, cut it to 2mm and melt away the front, and then make sure that the front hole is still where it needs to be. And there you have it folks, the fly is done. Hope you enjoyed that as always. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff, drop a comment. As always, let me know what you think. Until next time, cheers.